So I saw this really interesting TikTok about Squid Game, and I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna review it. I'm gonna talk about it. So let's get going.
I'm glad you asked about my thoughts about Squid Game. I have a take that I've not seen anywhere on this platform so far. So the take is that despite making Netflix an estimated $891 million in impact value, Squid Game was produced for only about $21 million. Why is this the case? Well, because just like with
It's a good amount of money, even for a series.
any manufacturing business, it's a lot cheaper to make stuff when it's not in the United States. This is because Korea offers tax credits and rebates, and there's no American union regulations, so people can work longer hours. In fact, a top entertainment executive told CNBC that Squid Game would have probably been 5 to 10 times more expensive if it had been shot in the United States with a US cast and US union production regulations. This article, for some reason, is really positive about this and talks about how other production companies like Disney are going to start using Asian countries and other foreign countries to make their stuff too. So, Squid Game is a show about a bunch of wealthy Western capitalists coming to South Korea to watch South Koreans compete with each other, fight to the death for their entertainment. And that show was made by a wealthy Western production company that went to South Korea to exploit South Korean labor to make their entertainment commodity. Like, yes, the show is a critique of capitalism, but the conditions under which it were made are the same dystopian capitalist conditions that it attempts to critique.
So I completely understand what he's saying here, and I completely see that perspective. But there are two components to this. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. It really pushes this video out in the algorithm and encourages me to make more videos. This video is brought to you by Brand Video Pro. We help brands and influencers scale their influence and sales. So if that is useful to you, head on over to our website, click the link down below, and find out how we can help you. All right, let's begin. Number one is capitalism. That is just the way capitalism works. And without capitalism, right, will we have a country like America? A country like America that is a pioneer in, or it's ahead of other countries in creating global innovations. America was built on capitalism, very, very dark history, dark stories. We talk about slavery, we talk about white supremacy and how that was built on capitalism. All of these terrible things, but at the end of the day, America is a leader in the world through capitalism and has managed to do two things while it did that, using capitalism: have freedom within its country. People are free. So like I can look at China and say, China is not a capitalist country, but we know that people are being suppressed. But in America, people are free and there's capitalism, right? And so like, it's almost like you can't have it all in a way, right? So that's one way to look at it. Capitalism, and to me, from a capitalistic lens, that is a genius idea. That's a genius idea for you to take all this money. You're still paying a good amount of money. $22 million is no small amount of money. Yes, it could have cost $60,000 in the US, but it cost less, and it was so much more interesting that it was not an American show because it was a Korean show, costing like, a major discount to execute, right? So I completely understand how they're using that. They're exploiting the system, but in a way, it's like capitalism is about who is privy. It's about intelligence in a way, right? Who is privy to the best information, using that information to get the most amount of money possible. And that's where, like, finding loopholes. That's what capitalism is about. Finding loopholes, finding information, and using that to get the best deals, the best everything. That is what capitalism is about. I mean, okay, so that's one component, right? Then there's another side to this, and it has to do with exploitation. In this same situation, I look at the way that Africa is being exploited in many things, right? People might get cheaper labor in Africa. They make movies in Africa. These US companies are coming over to Africa now. Amazon's there, Netflix is there. They're not paying the same prices for content that they're paying in America. Sure, the quality of the content is very different from what you're getting in America. And you could say that. But in Korea, we're getting the same quality of content, but it's way cheaper. And so there's a level of exploitation, though, regardless. In Korea, where you're getting the same quality, in Nigeria and Nollywood, where you're not getting the same quality, but they're sort of trying to catch up. But they're still at this level of, we'll pay them less and we'll get away with it because that's the system. They pay higher than the rates that are in the country, but still lower, far lower than what they would pay anywhere else. So there's some exploitation in there. And I've seen this, forget about even these streaming companies. I've seen this, like tech companies, all these companies, they hire people in Nigeria and they might pay them $10,000 a year, an engineer that's going to give you the same quality of work that American would give you, in these fields. They'll give you, but you're going to pay them $10,000 for the whole year because that is a high salary in Nigeria. That is exploitation. So I just feel like there needs to be some sort of balance because I believe in capitalism. I believe in the ability to, the freedom that capitalism gives you. It's the idea that if you have access to information, you can make a lot of money. And that's what capitalism is about. If you have access to information and you use it to your advantage, you have the potential to make a lot of money. Now, remembering that capitalism is built on, or white supremacy is built on capitalism, and they go hand in hand. So the whiter you are, the more capitalism works to your advantage. So if you're white, it works more to your advantage than the next person who's not white. And those are the errors in capitalism that suck. But on the other side, there's this idea of exploitation, which I think it's really difficult for me to say that what they've done in South Korea with Squid Game is a bad thing. I think it's good for business. I think it's good business. And for you to expect them to pay the same amount that they're paying in the US, there's a reason that people have stopped shooting films in Hollywood and people are always going to find the cheapest way to do something and to get the most impact. So yes, sure, they're exploiting people in South Korea, but look at the doors that they've opened for South Korea and look at how much money Squid Game has made. They're going to have to invest more money. They've announced how much the impact value is of Squid Game. So they have to invest more in the next season, probably maybe even double, And so because of that, I think that in South Korea, they can start demanding more money because Netflix has the money, has the capital to do that. They have the capital to be able to give them more money. If you made $800 million from this show, you can give them $100 million for production, right? But it's very difficult for me to say that. It's very difficult for me to say that people should pay more when they don't have to. It doesn't make sense. It's not like this money just like grows on trees, right? And there's a reason that a show like that did not come out of America. Storytelling wise, all the components of it. It's the unique ingredients of Korea that made that story what it was. So yes, it was about exploitation. Yes, their behind the scenes method was exploitation, but it shone a light on that Korean rawness that you will never get in America. That authenticity. And also, let's also remember that as much as capitalism is grounded and rooted in white supremacy, we have to understand that the reason for that is media, right? Or marketing, the way whiteness has been marketed. And what this show is doing is it's remarketing non-whiteness. It's remarketing Asianness. I don't know if that's a word, but it's remarketing anything other than whiteness. And actually, I've sat with a Disney distribution expert or a distributor that's, sells for Disney on all these platforms. And one of the things he said is what people want in this day and age, they don't want any Anglo-Saxon storytelling anymore. They don't want stories from white men. Now people want stories from diverse groups. That's why you've seen platforms like HBO take a deep dive into telling alternative stories and funding those concepts, funding those ideas. And that is why Squid Game did well. And I really do believe that we keep going in this direction. we keep going in this direction, it's going to increase the price of the money that goes into South Korea. And I saw a very interesting video, a little bit racist, but he did make a point, and I'm going to play this video on TikTok.
Asian men are being fetishized right now, and I'm all for it. I want to be fetishized. I'm so glad, because nobody wanted us for a very long time. We were not cool, but all of a sudden, Korean drama and anime comes out, and everybody wants a piece of us. Now we're the thing? What? Oh, let us have this. Like, Asian women have been fetishized for a very long time, so I get what they're going through, but we have not. So let us, Asian men, go through it for a while. You know, like, so you want to hook up with me because I look like One Punch Man, or I remind you of a young version of the old man from Squid Games? I'll take that. It's all good. Whatever. Okay? Let us go through the fetishization process for a few decades, and then, you know, like, people wanting to use us for, like, oh, we want you for the thing because you remind us of another thing. And then later we'll join you after like 3 decades of this, and we'll be like, get to know us for us. Asian men are not things. We are people. But right now, let us be things. Call me oppa.
Right now, this is shining a light on South Korean content, K-dramas. It's shining a light on African content. So even though the terms are a little bit exploitative, but they're still, the impact is bigger. And let us use this impact to get the most publicity and the most out of it. And then where we're in a position to have like proper grounding because of the resources that it's going to bring into us culturally, bring into us in terms of marketing us around the world, bringing more money into people like us. When we have those foundations, then we can start determining what the terms are. But right now we're almost not in a position to state our terms. But it's very important, and like this video that this guy made, the first video, it's very, very important for us to be conscious of this, for us to be aware of the exploitation, so we don't think that they're throwing us a bone, and we know that we deserve more. But we should just be aware, take what we can get right now, and then when we're in a better position, renegotiate the terms. And that's what they do. That's what they do in Hollywood. That's what people do when they become famous. And it just is what it is, unfortunately, because of the history of white supremacy, the history of capitalism, that we're only now just getting a light shone on us because that's what the world has demanded. And we just have to be patient and build our own foundations, not allow ourselves to be exploited. $21 million is still a lot of money, you know, and they don't spend that kind of money on shows in Africa. So build that foundation, and then we can then state the terms. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. A peace.